Right. So what I've decided to do now is I do want to talk about the SQL portion a bit more in depth. So I am going to do this. This is chapter actual 10. It's chapter 10 actually, or module 10. But I think when it comes to using Access, as you evolve your understanding and you start doing more with forms reports or whatever, I think you kind of got the foundations, which is all I kind of want you to have. But I do want you to understand a little bit more about SQL, which is the thing I've been sort of talking about in the background, because that'll help ultimately your understanding of databases, which you are definitely likely going to get exposed to. So what I'm doing here is I've moved on to module 10. All right. Now, in order to do this, by now the textbook has moved on, and we have a pretty sophisticated version of the database that we've been working on. But it's okay. It's okay because I've looked ahead. The sequel isn't all that bad here, so we should be able to just move forward. Now, I've been saying SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. I think they've even said that over here somewhere. They basically said it's pronounced either SQL or SQL. It used to be, there it is, SQL. It used to be, originally it was called Structured English Query Language, but anyway, eventually it's just basically SQL or SQL. Now, what I want to get to with this is that you could be saying, Grant, why the heck are you doing this? We have wizards, we have all this stuff. And I'm telling you that the more you understand SQL, the easier your time in Access will actually be. Because there's definitely some things that are easier to do in SQL, and then there are some things that I think are only possible to do in SQL. That's why I think it's important that you're at least aware of this, and then you could go ahead and use ChatGPT or some other kind of way to sort of move ahead here. But if you don't even know what to ask for, if you don't even know that SQL exists, you're going to get blocked. All right. So far we've been using queries. You know, just this is a wizard. Let's see about now going ahead and actually doing some commands. Now, before we do this, um, I'll look at that. I'll open that database, which is located there. Save the hard drive. Blah blah blah. Okay, I think I'm trying to find that database. I'm using actually SSC 10.1. Yeah, that's it. That's the one I'm supposed to use. Okay, good deal. All right, so the sequel for this is horrible, the current font size. So we're going to actually do what the book is saying here. We're going to go File. That's going to the Backstage. We're going to go to Options, which is down here. We're going to go to options and then it's collect object designer. And I should have done this in advance, but anyway, there you go. There's object designer. And in the query design area, here's our font. I mean, look at that. That's like an 8. So let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 11. All right. So if we do that, when we're about to go ahead and create a query, and we can go straight to SQL query here, because why can't we? Oh, what's going on here? Oh, yeah. See how big that is? That is nice and big. I'm going to get rid of this thing. Nice and big. That's a select statement. It's the beginning of a select statement. All right. So that's cool. Good to know. I didn't even know you could do that. So I'm really excited about that. All right. So there's a select statement. Let's move on now because right now this is much of a query. So I've been showing you that, hey, look, here's the SQL view, the design view. There, of course, there's no data sheet view because there is no actual data to be pulled from yet. And yeah, and I've already closed the add tables pane. So basically, we're just sitting here looking at a very useless select statement. Select statements start actually, select statements start with the select keyword, which is what that is. This is the select clause. The select clause is showing you what you're going to see. We're going to at least have to put in a from clause to say where our data is from. Now, I'm not just typing this in yet because, all right, yeah, because basically I'm going to sort of combine these two ideas. We need to basically have the from clause first. So here's select. See that semicolon there? That's sort of like the period of the statement. So we can't end with the select. We're going to end with that. That's going to be from closings. All right. Now, we're not saying what we want to see yet. And I've said a couple times now that if you go asterisks, that's basically select everything. This query should now be able to be run, and it is run. Awesome. It now has the datasheet view, it's got the SQL view, and even a design view. All right. So all that came from just typing in a select statement. Now, what they want us to do is they basically want us to put in these fields, or they're actually columns in a database. So select closing, property, selling price, and status. So when I go now, we've restricted the amount of columns that we can actually see. This is actually called a projection, but don't worry about that now. You know that in your database class. All right, so the select clause shows you what you want to see out of what is available in the from clause. All right, cool. Oh, go ahead. I guess we'll save this one. Does this, yeah. All right, cool. Wonderful. Next, we're going to do a new SQL statement. All right, so I enter a new SQL statement. We can close this window. Great, right? And then, oh, I don't know, man. I still think this is the way you should do it. You should basically just click on here, click on create, and go SQL query. Now you got yourself a nice blank SQL statement. Another option, by the way, I could have basically taken that query wherever it's gone to and overwritten it and then saved it as something else, right? But anyway, there's our select. And now we want to include all fields. I've kind of just shown you guys that already. So select asterisks from closings. I'll repeat it over here again. Here's a select asterisk. I'm going to hit the enter. And when you're just trying this at home, definitely do a copy paste for now, because I hate you guys to spend time trying to figure out, oh, wait a minute, why doesn't this work? And it's basically blowing up for syntax error. One thing Access is not good at is helping you debug your actual problem. So copying and pasting is probably a good deal for now. Once you get more comfortable with this thing, then then you're free to sort of go and try out a bunch of cool other things. All right, cool. I'm going to go next. So again, we've been grabbing everything, select asterisks from closing, so basically everything. But now let's go ahead and do a restriction. Now, if you remember what we did before is we went to the design view and we basically typed some stuff there. But we're not going to do that this time because we are going to be even cooler. We are going to go select. Notice the columns are in square brackets. The 150,000 is, there's no commas or dollar signs here. It is the raw data. And although I got away with it, you should definitely put a semicolon at the end of the statement. When I go run, now I basically get the actual output there. So that's basically putting in a where clause. All right. And I'm going to keep saving these. I'm not talking my way through the savings. I'm just assuming by now you guys are comfortable with that. All right. Next. So we saw this when we were in the design, but now you can see it here. We have equals, but there's also greater, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than, equal to, or not equal to. All right. So the equals is a comparison operator. These are basically other comparison operators. And so here they're basically saying, do you want to select this stuff from closings? I guess you should probably grab that. I don't know. Thinking about it now, I wonder if I missed that step in the third one. But anyway, there's these columns. It's from closings, and it's not so much from the dollar sign. Sorry, selling price is 150,000. We want it to be when it's greater than 300,000. All right, I'm going to go run. It's going to work, and notice it gets reverse engineered into this sort of wizard here too. Like, just kind of want you guys to feel the connection between the two interfaces here. Cool. Nice. Next. Okay, use a criterion involving a text field. So now what we're trying to do here is the same deal with property date. So yeah, it's the same deal. It's not the sales price now, it's where the status is equal to scheduled. What I want you to totally notice here is that we have single quotes around the literal schedule. Now I'm going to run this first of all just to make sure it worked, and it did not work. Why did you not work? What are you doing to me? Okay, that's not what I wanted. But let's have a look here. You know what I'm seeing? That is not a single quote. That is not a single quote. That is one of these where is it on this keyboard? Anyway, it's not a single quote. If I change it to a single quote by pushing the key that's to the left of the enter, I think it looks a little bit different. Yeah, that was tricky. All right, that comes from 30 years of looking at code. Anyway, so I think what happened there is that the font shifted inside of the textbook. And so that, what you can see there is not a single quote. Be careful about that. Now, what I wanted to do though was I actually did want to show you an error. So I'm going to basically take out those single quotes. I'm going to run it. It doesn't know what to do with this thing, so it becomes a parameter. That's the same as what we saw with that. No, where is that symbol? Maybe that symbol doesn't exist on the keyboard. Yeah, I can't find it. Anyway, because it didn't know what scheduled is, it becomes a parameter. When we put the text inside single quotes, now it's actually become a literal. All right. And I don't know if, yeah, okay. So, just because it's fun, I'm going to try something else out here. I'm going to try double quotes. There is no wrong answer to this. This could work. This could not work. Yeah, it works. Yeah. Not every database is like that. So be careful with that. All right. All right. So we've been dealing with equals, but the other option now is what about that fabulous wild card? Now, again, you might have seen this or remember this from I think it was either the last lecture or the one before, where this is basically using an asterisk for after P, basically saying where it's like P asterisk, which basically means where it starts with a capital letter P. Do we care about the projection? No. So we don't care about the projection. We don't care about the from. We are going to care about this title company. Now, here's the deal. Here's what we just learned. We can't copy and paste this. We can copy and paste some of this text, but not all of it. So we're going to go where it's like, and we're going to go single quote, P asterisk. I'm typing this single quote. I'm going to go run. All right, great. So this is getting me all the P's for what the title company, which by the way, we're not seeing. So we don't even know what the title company looks like. But here's what I want you to see. So if we go to the design view and I get rid of that, see right there. Right. So again, connected. These two are connected. If I was to go here and say where it's equal to P, of course, we're not going to get anything, right? There's nothing that's equal to P. And then the other common mistake a lot of people make is that they go like, and if they forget the wild card and they go, this is also going to bring back everybody who's effectively equal to P, which is not accurate either. And then in most databases, you'd have to worry about the case, but we don't have to worry about the case for this one. All right. I'm not going to bother saving them anymore. I'm just, Grant, come on. Come on. Be the change you want to see in the world. Let's go ahead and do this. All right. Cool. Next. Okay, how about the whole ands and ors and nots, right? So what we're talking about here is what if we have two conditions? So again, they are just sticking with the same query. We're basically playing with the same query all the way through. Closings where the title's like where the title starts with P and the selling price is more than whatever. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, and I think I screwed myself there by removing the single quote. So let's get the single quote back in. And oh, I see the single quote got stuck there. All right, good deal. The dangers of discoding. So there's that. And what did that become? That's your and. Okay. We learned that before. Now, if it's an or, which we're going to see in the next page, I think. There you go. Make that a 7, and that should solve that problem. Okay, so an or, all he did is they changed the word to or. So SQL, change that to or. Run it, different results. Also notice it's this or this. Okay, and then we got a not. So I just don't know if I'd ever want you to do this in real life because, okay, you know what? Let's do this anyway. All right, so SQL. So first of all, we are now going from a different table. So we're going to go select this stuff. We're going to change our projection. So it's the select clause. So it's that. We're going to change our from clause. So we're going to the right place. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rip out this stuff. And that's going to be a straight projection. There we go. Now, what they're asking for is where the guy is not partners, which is that right there. So, sure, you could go where and then not, and then the buyer, in square brackets. Careful with the single quotes on this one, where it's not part. Come on, partners. You could do that, and that would probably work. But here's the deal: there's a way simpler way to do this, where I would say that is not equal to that. That's going to be exactly the same. So my advice is that is not the best uses of not. I'm not even going to bother saving that query. I'm thinking, no. Okay, so here's where I think that would be important. So let's go and remove it. And I don't know. I've forgotten now whether this works. Does that? No, that's not going to work. Will that work? Let's try it out. No, no. I was trying to comment stuff out, but that's not doing it. So that's fine. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to get rid of this copy into my clipboard now for a second and run it. This is where I'd say not. So it's partners and then Greer and Greer. So I think the better solution here, we're if you're going to go not, is go not in, and then in parentheses, partners, comma, Greer and Greer. And I don't know if that's spelt right, but we'll find out when I run it. Oh, it's an ampersand. Of course, it's an ampersand. All right, let's try that. And we're going to go. Yeah. All right. So anyway, uh, don't do a not equals like that. Do the not equals with the greater than, sorry, less than greater than sign, but save your nots for the more complicated predicates like in, between, and even like. That's where you'd use not. It'd be not in, not between, not like. Okay, what about computations? So let's go ahead and change our query again. This time, what I'm going to do is grab all of that. I'm going to deliberately ignore the rest of the projection because I'm trying to show you something. So here's this guy, and he's coming from enrollments. So let's get that guy up there, and then let's do this restriction, which realistically we don't need if we're going to be talking about the computation, but whatever. Let's just run it, and it's mad because I got two select statements there. Oh my goodness, no wonder it's mad. Okay, let's do that. All right, so this is basically what it would be without the calculation. So what they want is they basically want total hours subtract hours spent as remaining. So total hours subtract that. They basically want a column here that would be basically this column subtract this column. So how do we do that? If you remember, what we could do is basically start sort of typing it in here, but in the SQL, what we could do is go comma, and I would suggest, assuming this doesn't blow it, that you would just go on a separate line for a second. I'm going to go copy, I'm going to go paste, and it's going to be minus. So total hours is one column, hours spent is another column. These guys become another column, and I'm noticing I'm missing a square bracket. All right, so let's go ahead and run it. So notice that the name, first of all, notice it's right. 4 subtract 2 is 2, 3 subtract 2 is 1. But here's the deal. This column here, it's got a really gross name. These columns don't have gross names because they're straight from the database, right? Total hours, hours spent. But this guy was a calculated column. And it's very upsetting because I don't think we're going to want to publish any kind of reports with expression 1004 on it. So what we'd want to do instead is rename that column. And the way to rename that column is with an as and then whatever you want to call it. So we're going to go as remaining. Remaining will be the text that the new column is labeled. So this as is called an alias, and I think it's in here. Or maybe we have, I know I saw this coming up, but anyway, that's an alias. All right. So aliases are pretty funky. I think I can say something like, I'm just going to now make it a bit more complicated because there's a white space. I'm going to go remaining hours. And let's go. And now it's remaining hours. All right. So that's cool things to do with calculations here. You don't have to have the database rename it to some meaningless expression. You can actually take control over that yourself by using an alias. Also, by the way, aliases don't just have to be for calculations. You can go as, and I think I can just go HRS and see what that does. Yeah, right there. And so that renames it as well. Okay. Sorting is the order by clause, and I was showing you that as we were building it. But order by is a straight, order by and then whatever you're going to sort it by. So I think in this case, sure, you know what? I'll just go ahead and grab the same projection that I think we were using before. I'm going to grab the from clause from before. And as I encourage all of you, just run it first of all without the new concept so you get an idea what you're looking at. So here's this data. We want to order it by closing date. It certainly is not, nope, it's not ordered by closing date right now. We know that if we went in here, we could basically sort, but we're not going to do that. We are going to do this in SQL. So to do this in SQL would be order by, and then whatever you're sorting by. I think I got to show you one other thing really quickly about this. So here's this order by. Okay, so now it's sorted right. Let's I only want adding an idea here. I only want dates that are greater than or equal to that date. So common thing for people to do when they're not sure what's going on is they say, okay, well now I want to restrict it. I want to add my order there. So I'm going to go not order. I want to add my restriction. So they say, hey, its closing date is greater than or equal to this. Now, this will blow chunks. It is not going to like it. But one of the reasons for sure it's not going to like it I'm thinking that should probably be in quotes, but the other reason is that the clauses have to be themselves in a certain order. So let me just see if I can get this running right away quickly here. Nope, data mismatch. Okay, I'm not entirely sure about how dates are going to work. So I might have blown it with this example. I don't know. Why did it pick a date? Okay, how about property ID? I think I would just want a straight numeric. We can Google dates later. I'm going to basically say where it's greater than zero. This should get everybody anyway, right? Okay, why are you mad at me? What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, tell you what, forget it, forget it. When things start to go south, quickly uh, get out of it. All right, so let's go here. So what are you doing? Property ID. Uh, and okay. Oh, for goodness sakes. Property, it's character. It's character data. So of course saying greater than zero wasn't going to work. Anyway, okay, I tell you what, it's what 004. Let's make this more meaningful now. So I'm going to basically say it's greater than P dash 004. And let's put the equal sign back in there. All right, so I think I now have a statement that's working. Okay, but here's the important part of the whole thing. The where clause has to be in front of the order by. It goes select from where order by. If I was to reverse these and just run it, it's going to be very, very upset. And that's all I was trying to show in that example. Can I undo myself? Nope, I can't undo myself. Okay, so if you're going to make changes like this, make sure it's select from where order by. Okay, sorting, you can sort by multiple columns, not a big deal. Descending, remember that DESC? By default, it's sorting it in ascending order. If you wanted to sort in descending order, you can put DESC and it sorts it in descending order. Duplicates. All right, so this is fun. To do this the other way, we had to go into the properties of the actual query, and that was kind of gross. So now we're going to do this slightly cooler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this query the way it is. Okay, but I'm going to remove the word distinct. Right, so it's just going to be select the real estate agent from sellers, sorry, ordered by the real estate agent. So when I go run, we got every single real estate agent per row in whatever table that was. Now notice Laura's repeated a few times, so is Kelly. So by putting the word distinct, putting the word distinct, we get the distinct count. Now I think I can't even remember how to do it the other way. Was it property sheet? No, it was property sheet. Yeah, yeah, I can't remember how he actually did it, even like in the last lecture because I'd never do it that way. I'd always basically just go into the query and slam in the word distinct. It's also there's a whole deal about when you deal with any computer language, there's a sort of a standardization that everyone's supposed to have. So in the case of SQL, there's a standardization about what SQL should look like. Like, for example, why is the where clause? Why does it have to be after the from and not after the order by? That's because of the American National Standards Institute, otherwise known as ANSI. ANSI is an organization that basically determined that this is the order that these these clauses should be in. It's also ANSI that's decided that the word to get unique values is distinct. All right, so that's a little bit of behind the scenes there. Okay, now there's other things going on here, and that is the getting totals. So we have seen this by going into the design view and clicking on totals, and that did some interesting things. But now what we're going to do is uh, we're going to do this in the select instead. So first, let me get uh, the base query in place. So there's select asterisk. It's going to be from closings. And I don't, I'm going to leave the where clause out for a second. Okay, so oops, nice. That was not what I wanted. Okay, go. Okay, so, whoop, 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 whoop. I didn't mean count yet. That's coming up. Asterisk. So basically, just show me all the data. So here's all the data. Okay. Now, what they're saying is, hey, you could use this built-in function. Well, this is not just a built-in function. This is actually an aggregate function. And if I said count asterisk, this will actually say how many rows there are. There are 9 rows. When I take that count out and just make it straight asterisks, we can confirm that by basically running it, and we'll see that there are, in fact, 9 rows. So that's what a count does. Count can actually count the actual rows. Count can also count the actual fields, as like how many values are in a field. But you know what? Screw it. We're not going to talk about that. So let's see before we go any further. Does it lend itself to yeah, this? Oh, that's horrible. No, forget it. I think I'll just leave it at that. So count is the right way to count rows. Also, um, I lost my query. Did I lose my query? No, I just changed it. The other thing it can do is there's count, there's sum. Let's see, are you about to talk about that? No, you're not about to talk about that. So this is a good time to do it. So let's go, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off of closings, which I can't remember if that's where, yeah, this is where it's coming from. Let's go closings, because I think closings had some amount in there, right? There's a price. Okay, there's a price. And I think, yeah, I think price is the actual name of it. So let's go of the field. So if I said select price, it would have to be in square brackets though. I have to go. Nope, it's not price. Well, that's just not helpful, is it? So closings, why are you not price? Okay. So okay, that's nice. Yeah, now I've thoroughly lost myself. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. If you're struggling like I am, just trying to basically come up with hey, speaking of struggling, come on, dude. Just trying to come up with what the heck are the column names. One thing you could do, bit of a cheat, but go in here and just say, you know what? I actually just want that price, and I don't know where it is now. Was it selling price? That's why I didn't find it, because it was selling price. So I'm going to go run, and let's go view for a second and see what it did. Okay, so here's closings, selling price. If I just backspace over that ampersand, now what you're going to get, those are the prices. Okay, good. All I wanted to do with this is say, okay, you've seen already count, and it's not really case sensitive, but I'll just do the count like that. So there's count, go. So we get our 9 rows back. Great. But there are other wonderful aggregate functions too, and I'm just going to start putting them on their own line to make them stand out. We can get a sum. We can get a max. We can get a min, and we can get, and I'm thinking it's AVG. All right. So we can get these things. So copy, paste, and backspace. And let's see if this thing runs. And it does. So there's 9 rows, and then we have all these ridiculous column headings. Remember, we have the ridiculous column headings because we're not using aliases. So before the comma, we can go as count, as sum, sure, as max, as min, and then as AVG. And I think that will do it. There it is. All right. So it's pretty quick to be able to do some pretty decent statistical analysis here. And the only thing, I guess, because I guess they're not doing it. Okay, so this next thing was about the aliases. Multiple functions, the same command. Yeah, I think you're fine there. I more or less just did that. But we got to talk about grouping. Because right now, this is grouping the entire table, the entire closings table as one thing. We want to be able to basically break it down by other groups. What I said before was I could ask right now what is the total number of students in this course, but I can also say what are the total number of students in this course by their faculty or by their what are they called, the counselors, by the city that they are all living in, right? There's a way to basically start breaking things down. And that's what the group by clause does. So I think this is closings. So they've given me a pretty decent piece of code I can just grab. So this is going to basically group it by the company that basically gave the mortgage. So let's just do this and go to, no, I meant to go to SQL, and we're going to add that right like this. Got to go. And so now there's different groups. Now we don't entirely know what the heck the groups are. We just know that they are broken up into 4 groups. The way to get that group back, to at least see what we're grouping by, is typically you put it in the front. All right, so this will be giving us all these aggregates, the count, the sum, the max, the min, the average, by the mortgage company ID. And that's basically your powerful group by clause. All right, grouping requirements, and then restricting the groups is the other thing that we need to think about, because you can't go, for reasons I really don't want to get into, you can't basically say where the sum is greater than a certain amount or where the max is a certain amount. You have to use something called a halving clause. All right. And now I think after this point, we will probably stop. So here's the deal. If I was to say where, and then basically go ahead and do this, and to be honest, I'm just going to basically say greater than 0 because I don't really care about the actual restriction. It's going to get mad and it's going to give me an error message. Now, if you were still kind of bright, you'd realize bright as in not intelligent, this bright as in awake. You'd basically say, hey, wait a minute, this where clause, didn't you say it had to be after the from clause? And I did say that. So it'd have to be no. That looks good to me, but no, you can't. Because you cannot have an aggregate function in the where clause. It's mad because where and sum. It says you can't have an aggregate function. You can't have sum, count, max, min, or average in the where clause. The only way to get this to work is to go having, and that's what this is about here over here. Having. Okay, semicolon. There's a semicolon at the end of that statement. So, okay, having. All right, so let's talk about this for a second. And is this it then? Is that all I want to do? Oh my God, there's a joining stuff going on. Okay, at your level, what I would do is I would use I would definitely use Designer for that, because as you're going to see, it becomes a square bracket nightmare. So basically, in my mind, I really only want you guys to go up to basically 5 here. or yeah, 5, right? The entirety of 5. Okay, but anyway, but now that's it. Just to close this out, this is what I'm trying to say. A select statement is a very, very, very important thing for you guys to learn moving forward, right? SQL, it's old, it's 30 years old, it's used all over the place in all these relational databases and non-relational databases. AI is not going to make it go away. This is a super powerful technology to learn. You can use Access to actually teach you SQL, which I think is absolutely cool, right? As you go ahead and you start changing the design stuff, keep toggling back and forth like, oh, here's a 0. What happens if I make that 1? And then you go over and you say, oh, look at that. Now it's 1, right? Do you see how Access loves, however, parentheses? So that's why we're not going any further because it just goes crazy with parentheses. So everything is kind of linked together, right? So then the other thing I want you to know when you're looking at this clause, notice by the way it threw away all my formatting, so don't bother spending a lot of time on formatting. But basically, you got the select from group by having. You got one statement with 4 clauses. The select clause shows you what you want to see. The from clause is where it's coming from. And then the where clause, which doesn't exist here, would be a restriction. So what are you restricting on? At the row level, then it gets grouped, and then it restricts at the group level. If you can understand this, I had to learn all this by looking at SQL. I never was officially taught SQL. If you can learn all this, you will be way, way, way cooler moving forward in your IT careers. Okay, yeah, I think I feel good. I think I feel good. So where else is this going to? It's going to talk about joining, right? So don't worry about it as much. Just look ahead, but you can kind of see the inner join uh, you know, and then we did in the previous lecture, right and left. What I would do with that is I would go to design view. This is closings. I think we decided closings have a link with closing. Yes, closing fees. It did. So here, if I wanted to say, okay, well, um, add a column and then look at the SQL statement. So now we got inner join is starting to show up. So it's from closings. It's now doing an inner join on the various keys. And then it's like, okay, you know what? I'm a little confused. I'm going to take out that table and look at the SQL again. Well, now it's gone, right? This is an awesome SQL tutor. So that's what I want you to get out of this. All right, that was wonderful, and I think we're probably done access now. And from here, we'll see where we go next.